This is a special presentation of Falling with Style. I'm Doug.
And I'm Derek.
And we're doing something very different for the next couple months. Normally on this show, we would cover one Pixar movie at a time, one Pixar movie per episode. But Derek,
yeah,
we're fighting with Pixar a little bit right now. So we're going to do something else.
Yeah, we're not talking to them.
We're not talking to them right now. We're fighting. We are going to be doing something we've never done before, which is dedicating episodes to movies and television made by other studios, other animation studios, and a little bit of live action stuff, specifically because we don't want to talk about what Pixar has most recently released, which is their original TV series, Win or Lose. I was really excited to talk about Win or Lose. I've been excited for a long time to talk about it. I know you keep forgetting that it's happening, which was actually exciting to me because I was really excited based on what I know it is supposed to be for you to watch it. Because I think, one, I think it probably is going to be good. But two, I think it would be something that you would find interesting. So since we're not going to talk about it and we're going to dedicate our time instead to other studios doing things that Win or Lose is not willing to do, I would love to tell you a little bit about what Win or Lose is and was supposed to be.
Sure. But people are bracing themselves, wondering why we're not covering it.
Yeah, I'm sure they have no idea. Couldn't possibly guess. Win or Lose is just one of the now many sort of casualties of Disney's cowardice in allowing representation to exist in their properties, specifically with regards to queer and trans identities. So that's the short story, but a little bit longer. We're not going to do the full production thing for Win or Lose because we're not talking about it as a series, but I do want you to know, because otherwise I don't know how you're ever going to find out. But Win or Lose was set to be, and still is, I mean, it's happening, Pixar's first television series not based on any existing property, right? So they've done television before. They've done Cars TV shows. They did the Monsters, Inc. TV show. And those are all popular to varying degrees and of varying quality and whatnot. But the thing that was special about Win or Lose was that it was not based on anything, and it's animated by their film teams. It's made in-house at Pixar. So it is like as fully a Pixar production as any of their films are, which they can't say about all of their television shows. Some of them, but not all of them. I think the Inside Out one, which we also did not talk about, I think might have been fully Pixar in-house too, but I'm not even 100% sure on that. This, though, was meant to be that, and is still that. They announced it in 2020. I was stoked about it. It's been pushed several times, so much so that I just kind of lost track of even when it was supposed to be happening. So I know these episodes will overlap with it, but it's probably not even exact at this point. What's cool about it, and why I'm so bummed that I'm now sour on it, is that Win or Lose is the story of a youth baseball team told over the span of 8 episodes, all of which focus on a specific perspective from one of the teammates or parents or somebody surrounding that baseball team. So it's the same story told from 8 different perspectives with differing animation based on the perspective. So it sounds rad. Like it sounds cool.
That's a phenomenal concept. I mean, any other shows have sort of done variations of that, but like the different animation style aspect of it is really cool. And usually it's like relegated, like if animated shows have done it, it's usually relegated to one episode of a show doing different perspectives, different animation styles. I do think it's kind of unprecedented for an animated show to do different animation styles for different perspectives for the story. And a lot of like live action shows, I think they more play it for the probably, something like the After Party or whatever. Like there's some other sort of spin on it or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this being an animated kind of like family centered Pixar show, I think probably does set it apart from a lot of other TV shows that have existed in this sort of vein.
Yeah, because effectively it's like, not that it's not TV, and not to disparage anything that, only would ever call itself TV, but there was something specifically unique about them saying like, this is something made by our movie studio. Movies and TV shows are made differently, even if they're animated, right? So like even the things I can think of that are animated television shows that employ lots of different animation styles, it's like the whole identity of that show. Whereas this is one product and one story that's part of the larger sort of like Pixar Studios canon and story, right? So it makes it kind of interesting and unique. And it just seems like kind of a cool story to tell, you know? Like,
right.
It sounds neat.
And it seems rife for, you know, if you're focusing on a different character every episode and a different perspective, it seems rife for focusing on like very diverse perspectives with very specific particular experiences and being able to explore those different experiences in depth in a way that like maybe certain audience members who haven't had those experiences themselves can really like further sympathize and empathize with those characters by seeing the world through their eyes and their own personal experiences. It just seems rife for like very diverse storytelling, you know,
and
with diverse characters.
That's what it is supposed to be. And so, you know, the first episode deals with one of the players who struggles with anxiety and is the coach's kid, and you know, they choose a way to depict that for that kid specifically that would not show up in any other episode because it's not how that kid is experiencing it, right? So even just the promotional images show that kid, you know, at the plate with like this big sort of anxiety monster on their back, and then somebody filming them with like a phone camera, and obviously that anxiety monster's not on their back. So
right.
It's clear that it was made to tell those types of stories. So kids that have to learn something, parents that have to learn something, kids that are going through things, families that are going through things. And one of those things, Derek, was supposed to be a player on the team who is trans. If you didn't know where it was going already, I'm sure you know where it's going now. So in this past December, The Hollywood Reporter reported Disney pulls transgender storyline from Pixar's Win or Lose streaming series. And I don't really think we needed much more than that because we've seen this story before from Disney. And so we kind of knew what it was. But essentially, like, they have the character in the show. They haven't really changed much about the character, but they took out anything that explicitly made that character trans or took out any dialogue of that character describing them as trans or in ways that would make it clear they were trans, right? And so the way that the actual voice actor, who is a trans teenage girl, in her words was like, this is really disheartening. And they basically made it clear that like, while I was still the voice actor and while I was still that character was now just a cis straight girl on the team. Which is not what I signed up for.
Chanel Stewart is that actor, is that right?
Yes. So that is Chanel Stewart. And that sucks. That's such a shitty thing to do. I mean, she specifically talks about how, I think she talked to Deadline, about how this was an opportunity and this is why she wanted to do it. And this was a character she never got to see like herself. And she was really excited to be the person who got to bring that to other kids who don't get to see themselves. So like, that's why she was there. And it sucks that they took it away from her. It sucks that they took it away from everybody else. And it's just one more sort of example of Disney just taking this shit out and doing the work for the worst people in the world by erasing or reversing or obscuring these stories from being told. And of course, the bullshit justification that we got was one that no one is unfamiliar with. The spokesperson said, when it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. Which is bullshit, because no one's taking that ability away from you.
Yeah, right. And also, like, that's literally the point of like art like this,
right? Is
to like, help tell other people's stories that you might not experience yourself. So some people can either see themselves in stories, in other people that they haven't been able to before, and sort of like know that they're not alone. And also for people who aren't familiar with those experiences to like learn that those people exist and like learn to empathize with them and understand like why other people live their lives differently from them, you know? And especially for things that are targeted towards families and children, like so much stuff that children have historically grown up with, that we've grown up with, it's all about just being like, helping kids see the wider world around them that they might not be able to be seeing
right in front of them. The most cited examples of this is a Disney production. The Lion King is often cited as one of the properties that parents talk to their kids about death with, right? Like it is often one of the first times that a kid will see like a really affecting story of like a family member dying in a tragic way. And that's an opportunity to have a conversation. If anything, this helps you have conversations. That's what's so obnoxious about it. And when they say certain subjects, we know exactly what they mean, because it's only ever about queer people, trans people, people of color, disabled people, anything that isn't sort of your standard cis able-bodied white man and their strongest allies. You know what I mean? So we know what the certain subjects are. We know that they're not going to take death out of movies. That's totally fine. We can all agree that we should talk about those subjects and that's helpful, but these other subjects not helpful. It's stupid and it's wrong. It's just not true.
It's not like you're not going to meet these people in real life. In your life is the thing. Like that's always so baffling to me about how sort of approach, like, well, families should be able to do this on their own terms. It's like you're not going to be able to control people that you encounter throughout your life in real life, right? Like, and sometimes, like with the death conversation, sometimes, like you were saying, like it is easier for a kid to first experience the concept of death through media where the stakes are lower than the first time they experience it be in real life where the stakes are higher because the death is real. It's the same,
why people get pets.
Right. It's the same sort of deal where it's like, if you are someone who is truly worried about how your kid is going to act around a trans person or around a gay person or around a black person or whatever, if you really truly are worried about that, then like, wouldn't you want the kid to first be exposed to that through TV where you can talk to them about it, like then in real life, like, and this is like the straw man that I'm creating is like someone who probably doesn't have, is not someone who's probably like going at that in the right way, I think, if they're thinking about that. But even still, if you are someone who like, it just baffles me that it's like, if you were fucking transphobic, that trans people exist in the real world. So wouldn't you still want your kid to see it on TV first so you could like talk to them about it in that sense? You know what I mean? Like none of it makes any fucking sense.
No,
like
none of it
makes any sense. And just it all comes down to just trying to like erase people's existence from every from everywhere that you possibly can.
Right. And what's always frustrating is that from Disney's perspective, it's all money, right? It's not that they're interested in erasing or not. They don't give a shit, right? It's like, what do they think will make them the most money? And that is, for whatever reason, catering to a smaller population of people who care. Like the rest of us don't care or value it, So it's really annoying, and it's also just demonstrably false that these things are a problem and not helpful and making people's lives harder. Here's the thing. When we learned this news, I was like super bummed. People who listen to Falling with Style know that I've been struggling lately with Pixar, okay?
Yeah.
It's been a full journey. People have been able to watch my full journey of being like Pixar stan and defender to like betrayed acolyte or whatever.
Or remember we had the whole bonus in like 2022,
literally like called Pixar Says Gay. And we didn't take it down. It's still there. You can listen to it.
Yeah.
But I can't believe that anymore, right? We talked about this in our Inside Out episode. I can no longer believe what I said in that episode, which is that, okay, it's all Disney's fault and Pixar they want to do right. But I just don't think this many times the people who are in charge at Pixar, and I have to say the people who are in charge, because we only learn about these things from the people actually creating and making and writing and all this sort of stuff, who are willing to say something about it.
Yeah.
But the executives, Pete fucking Doctor, I can't put it all on you, but if you're going to be the face of the company as an executive at the company, I no longer believe that this is something you value enough to fight for, because I think if you were valuing it enough and if you were fighting enough, we would be having different conversations. But I think he made it abundantly clear that Inside Out 2, which also was made to de-queer Riley, and Riley's not even an explicitly queer character, but God forbid they make her seem a little bit too gay.
Yeah.
You made it clear that the sole purpose of that movie was to make $2 billion. And you did it. Yeah. Great job, right? So I'm fighting with Pixar, and I'm frustrated with Pixar. And when I learned this, after 4 years of being so excited for this show to come out, I was like, this is such a bummer. I don't even want to talk about this show. And I even posted that. I said that. And plenty of people were like, well, then don't, right? Like sometimes you just have to say like, I'm fed up and I'm not doing it and I'm not supporting it. Yeah. And I agree with them. But I also felt like that's a good thing to do. But Falling with Style is a weird show in that we have carried out our mission and we only really get together to talk about Pixar when Pixar does something. So not doing something doesn't really have the same effect over here as it does elsewhere when people are regularly putting stuff out. So I was like, I don't want to just not talk about it. I want to talk about it, but I also don't want to give it attention by covering every episode. So like, what do I do? Like, what does our show do? What do we cover? What do we talk about? And so we've decided that while we're not going to talk about Win or Lose, we are instead going to talk about a few movies and a TV show that are unafraid and unambiguous about queer representation, whether that is queer folks, trans folks, intersecting identities, explicit identity on screen. That's what we're going to do instead. Because there are studios that do it. There are executives who are not to praise executives, but there are executives who are willing to say this story is important and I want to see it.
Yeah. Or don't care enough to stop it from happening.
Or don't care enough to get in the way, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see all kinds of stories. But there are people who are willing to do it or not obstruct. And so we want to talk about those stories.
Yeah, when it is like undeniable, explicit. This is queer. We set out to do something queer,
right?
And we made something queer,
right? Stuff that because Disney loves to put it in enough that they can erase it for their international markets. The international markets are always their scapegoat. So we want to talk about stuff that you can't do that with, right? We are planning to do 5 episodes, which will cover kind of like the full timeline run of Win or Lose. We are doing 3 movies, a TV show, and then a bonus movie. And the things that we are going to end up covering are Nimona, Tokyo Godfathers, Wendell Wild. We are talking about the Fern and Izzy episodes of Power Rangers Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury. And we'll have sort of a special bonus episode at the end with Hamish Steele, the creator of Dead End Paranormal Park, which is an animated series aimed at children and their families that has explicit, undeniable, unafraid queer representation about his experience, and also a movie that he's recommended to us called Flea that neither one of us have seen yet. That's what we're going to talk about instead. Each one of them has a different kind of representation. They're all from different creators and studios. And I am excited to get into what those properties are willing to do and do well that Disney is too fucking afraid and cowardly to get into.
Very excited about it. It is definitely an interesting variety of things too. And if you're like wondering why we made the choices we made, I think we'll explain it in each episode. I think there were very, very calculated reasons for why we chose what we chose for this run. And I'm just I'm very excited to talk about this, and I think it'll be, people are always asking us like, what are you going to do as your sort of like follow up to Falling with Style or whatever in the sort of animated realm, and like this just it feels so. I hate the circumstances that this came up in, but it feels so right. And for the sort of special presentation run, I think if you're looking for counter programming to content that a major corporation has put out that is intentionally trying to erase trans people from existence, I hope this is some good counter programming for you.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope people really enjoy it. I hope that it introduces some folks to maybe, 1 or 2 things that they haven't checked out that you and I really value and really enjoy. And who knows, maybe in the future, other stuff will come across our desk. And we'll be compelled to have conversations about that. But for now, sort of a special presentation miniseries. We wanted to make sure we did an introduction episode explaining why we're doing what we're doing, because we're not going to get super into it, or at least the Pixar end of things in each episode, because we want to actually celebrate those properties. So obviously we won't be able to completely avoid it, but we wanted to put that energy and that explanation here in this introduction. And moving forward, we can all just enjoy some good queer animated, and in one case not animated, stories.
Yes. And first episode comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. So tomorrow and then every other week after that. So find that and talk to us about it and enjoy.